think I like this little life. This little life. I think I like this little life.
Hey guys, it's your girl DJ Sims and welcome back to Chat and Vibes. I'm super excited because I'm actually back with a guest that I've spoken to twice before. Fitness with Keisha. I cannot wait for this episode. If you haven't watched the other episodes as well, we do have 2 out already, so make sure you go check them out on my YouTube channel. But today I'm back with Fitness with Keisha.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
So, as you guys may know, Keisha is a women's and PCOS health coach.
Yep.
So I am super excited because today we're going to be speaking all about her birth story, her pregnancy story, her labour story, the whole shebang. So you guys are going to be getting all the details. And yeah, first of all, I want to congratulate you on Ahana.
Thank you. I can't wait to just bring her down. She's taking a nap right now, but I can't wait for you to see her again. You've already met her, because you did come to see her after I gave birth. But yeah, I'm so excited to talk on here, and it feels kind of surreal because each episode that we've had has gone through a little bit of a journey, hasn't it?
I know.
Yeah.
It has. And if you guys haven't, I really want you to go catch up on the others because it's all going to just like piece together this puzzle. And I feel like it's such a journey, so that's why I'm super excited to have her back. And we are going to be bringing Ahana down as well in a bit. So I do want to start off by speaking a little bit about obviously PCOS and fertility.
Yeah.
I feel like you have just proven everyone wrong, and you've proven that you can fall pregnant, you can have kids when you have PCOS.
Yeah, totally. So many women with PCOS still manage to get pregnant, still manage to go through, their healthy pregnancy and have their babies with them. And I think upon diagnosis, when you are told that you're not going to be able to have kids, that is so damaging. And that was so damaging for me for so many years. It had me start a path where I had to unlearn so many things to then, reteach myself that, hey, no, I don't have to live this life, and actually I don't need to go ahead and take loads and loads of pills to get myself in a certain state. Now everyone's journey is completely different, and I know that 2 years ago now in 2022, the first time I got pregnant, I did end up having a miscarriage, and that really affected my mental state. It affected my hormones, it affected how I saw fertility with PCOS as well, because I was like, oh, maybe they're right, it's not going to happen for me. But the power of nutrition and the power of movement is so strong, and the power of taking care of yourself mentally, physically, even spiritually, can have such a good impact on your life that anything is possible, just as it is for a normal person with PCOS. A normal person. Anyone with PCOS, it's possible too.
Yeah, I do feel like when women are diagnosed with PCOS, doctors are very quick to just say, you won't be able to fall pregnant, you won't be able to have kids, or I'm going to put you on the pill and come back when you want to have kids. So I want to know, as a women's coach, PCOS coach, what are your opinions on that, and what are your opinions on going on the pill and going back to the doctors when you want to have kids?
Yeah, I absolutely love that question. So this kind of brings me back to a conversation that I was having with a client yesterday. So if anyone who's watching this is familiar with my page, we have a lot of clients who join to manage their PCOS symptoms, who end up getting pregnant on their journey. And this client found out she was pregnant earlier on this week. And I was on the phone with her yesterday to kind of talk through, how we'll be adapting her plans, pre and postnatal, and she was actually telling me how when she went to her gynecologist not too long ago, her gynecologist said, right, make sure you come back at this point, let's get you on the IVF list because you have PCOS. And the fact is that she's been with me now for about, I'd say maybe 4 months. And through nutrition, through movement, through taking care of herself, through having that community and that support, she's now pregnant.
Wow.
So I truly believe, and I have friends who are gynecologists and doctors who are amazing, who are empathetic, who understand, and who always push taking care of yourself naturally first. There is a space and a place for medicine, but I don't feel like that should be the first option that is given for anyone with PCOS. I feel as though when you are looking to manage your PCOS or any other metabolic dysfunction, you should look at your nutrition first. You should look at your movement. You should look at your mental health. that makes a really big difference. And
I feel like that's the perfect answer, because we're no way, like, we're not by any means bashing any doctors, any gynecologists by doing that, because if that's what suits the patient at that time,
exactly.
it might be the best bet, but there's no harm. Exactly.
Yeah, the first thing, and I think with PCOS, should always be take care, like, let's look at your lifestyle, let's look at the lifestyle changes. And I do understand that, you know, in medicine, of course you're going to be taught the medicinal route, but then there's also a space for physical activity, there's a space for nutritionists, there's a space for self-care, for meditation, and the things that can actually help reduce your cortisol levels and help you create a sustainable lifestyle for the long run. Because let's say, okay, you get pregnant with PCOS, you're not going to be on those medications anymore, and you're going to have to go through your pregnancy taking care of your lifestyle. So why not just implement that from the beginning?
Yeah, exactly. I also have seen, like, so many TikToks, like, this isn't even to do with women with PCOS. I've seen so many TikToks of women who have been on the pill for, let's say, like 11 to 12 years, and they've decided to come off, and they're actually finding it difficult to get pregnant.
So obviously the pill is pumping so many synthetic hormones into your body. I was on the pill for a very long time. I can talk to my own experience. So I was on the pill for a very long time, and I actually went on the pill, I think I mentioned it in one of our previous episodes, where I went on the pill just out of a little bit of, I suppose, rebellion.
Yeah.
My mum was like, no, there's no going on a pill, you know, she's being a South Asian mum. And even though that was a solution that was given to me for PCOS, I was like, oh yeah, I'm young, you know, I've got my first boyfriend, I'm just going to go on the pill.
Yeah.
Like, this is cool. And I was on it for a while, and I actually found that it affected my mood, it affected the way I felt. And after coming off of the pill, for me to get a natural period back, it took about 8 months.
Yeah, it is, you know, it is damaging, and that's why, you know, between us now, for those of you that don't know, I'm now working again with Fitnesswithkeisha with the programme to get my life together, but personal decision as well, I've chosen to completely come off it as well. I just think I've seen too many things, I know that I can manage it naturally, and I'm so glad we're letting people know that that's a possibility. For any women who might be watching this with PCOS, who might be, you know, thinking about trying for a child soon, what was your secret? Was there a secret?
Yeah, honestly, no secret. I feel like I speak about it so openly on my social media, and I've even got an entire YouTube video on this as well, where when it comes to trying to conceive with PCOS, ultimately, if you can regulate your period through lifestyle changes, if you can figure out ovulation and when you're ovulating, if you go and do the deed on that day, there is a higher chance that you will go ahead and get pregnant, just like anybody else. And it's not always just down to you as the female. I think this is an important part. When we're diagnosed with PCOS, it's so easy when we're trying to have a baby to think, oh, you know what, it's me, I have the problem, and it's going to be very difficult to conceive because I have PCOS. But no, it's also got to be a lifestyle change that your partner too implements. Because think about it, if your partner is very stressed out, if they're drinking loads of caffeine, I don't know, taking loads of pre-workouts, and not having, let's just say, for example, enough white meat, good fish, omegas, you know, nutrition is not there, it's not going to help their sperm quality.
Yeah, it's definitely important for both parties to make that lifestyle change. I definitely agree with that. For those watching that don't know, Keisha did go through a miscarriage before Ahana, and I feel like if that was me, I would be very anxious during my pregnancy. How did you mentally cope during that? Were you anxious? Were there times where you just felt really scared after your last experience with the miscarriage?
Oh, I was so anxious. I think from the moment I found out I was pregnant, I didn't feel that same happiness that I felt in my first pregnancy. I felt way more anxious than I did happy. I was like, oh, like it was more like, oh, am I ready for this? And I think pregnancy after loss is something that people don't really talk about as much. But the reason why it's so important to take care of your mental health during this time is because you want to make sure that this is, you know, a time which you remember in a beautiful way. But it's so difficult because when you've experienced a miscarriage, you do have the anxieties around, oh, like, what if this happens, or what if that happens? And then there's this whole thing of, oh, I'm going to go ahead and wait until 12 weeks to share the news with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, when I found out I was pregnant with Ahana, I actually decided that I'm going to go ahead and tell my friends, and I'm going to tell my family, because at the end of the day, I would much rather go through a miscarriage again and have that support than go through the miscarriage and be lonely like I was before.
That's very true.
Even though before I shared, you know, my miscarriage journey and my experience on social media, I went through a big chunk of it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was to get pregnant tomorrow, I am pretty sure I'm not going to wait till the 12-week mark to announce it on Instagram. I will actually I will 99.9%, unless, actually I should say 50% unless my partner says so, but I don't really mind. I will 99.9% go ahead and share on social media that, hey, like, I'm pregnant. And there might be people that will be like, oh, but you know, you're only like a couple weeks, like, what if something happens? Why would you put it on social media? But it's because it's just life.
Yeah.
It's a journey, and so many people go through miscarriage. And I feel like in the South Asian community particularly, and I know in other communities too, it is seen as such a taboo to even talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't something that anyone should go through silently. Miscarriages happen all the time, and they don't happen just at the beginning of your pregnancy. They can happen later on.
Yeah.
I know people who've gone through the entire pregnancy who've experienced stillbirth, and that too is something so difficult I cannot even imagine. Yet none of these things should be something that someone experiences on their own.
Yeah.
And I think if there's more people that speak about it, and if there's more people that are open to talk about their experiences or even their journeys of a positive pregnancy from the beginning till the end, it's nice, and it's comforting, because you know that people who love and care for you will be there in the down times and in the up times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for women who might be, you know, feeling anxious during their pregnancy after miscarriage,
Yeah.
the one piece of advice, would you say it's to not feel lonely and to like
Yeah.
open up to others maybe?
To open up to others as much as possible. I found I was getting a lot of DMs from women who are going through this, and I have a few clients currently who are pregnant with their rainbow babies.
Yeah.
And, you know, my DMs are always open. I say this, and I say it like with my whole heart, because I've experienced it. If someone doesn't have anyone to speak to, they can always reach out to me. But try and speak to one of your friends or someone that you know is not going to come from a place of judgment. Another thing that really helped me was meditation.
Okay.
I spent loads of time actually, when I was pregnant with Ahana, just being like to my partner, being like, I'm going up to bed early, and then I would just sit and I would meditate, because being able to ground myself, being able to slow down my thoughts, actually allowed me to gain some perspective and just try and see things in a better light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. If we're gonna like fast forward now to just before you went into labour,
Yeah.
I saw a video on
Yeah.
your Instagram about how you actually did a light workout before. I think you said it kickstart your labour.
Yeah.
So can we just like talk about that? Like, how did you know when to do that, and what did you do?
Yeah.
And how did it kickstart your labour? If you know the ins and outs of how it did.
Of course. So I tried to stay as active as possible throughout my pregnancy.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, in the first trimester, towards the end, I think we'd recorded one podcast episode actually.
It was right at the beginning.
It was right at the beginning, and I actually developed sciatica. I don't know if I spoke about this. Yeah.
Very
Very
briefly.
briefly, yeah. So I had developed sciatica, so I actually stopped exercising as much during the pregnancy. Instead, I would go on walks. But then by my third trimester, it all went away. Instead, I just felt very heavy.
Yeah.
And I was at around, I think I was like 39 weeks, 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I'm ready to get this baby out. You get to a point during pregnancy where you feel so huge. Like I couldn't turn, like if I was turning in the bed, I felt like I had to turn my body and obviously an additional body.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. And I got to that point where I was like, okay, I'm just ready for her to be here. I'm ready to go through labour. I'm ready for it. So being pre and postnatal qualified, I actually did the qualification during my pregnancy because I wanted to understand my body better.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so helpful because I understood the types of exercises that would be really good for me. Plus also I already knew how to push my body.
Yeah.
So I literally said, and this was, I went to the hospital in the morning. They did a stretch and sweep. I don't know if you know what that is. very painful.
Yeah,
very
it sounds
awkward.
it.
Very awkward. Why do they name it a stretch and
I know,
sweep?
it
feel
just...
yeah,
It just sounds painful.
yeah, it did. And so I got a stretch and sweep done, and the lady actually said to me, she was like, look, if you want to get this baby out, and she said to me in the room, she was like, if you want to get this baby out, go home and just do it. Just do it like a few times.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. So came home, done all of that. Then I was just like, okay, nothing's working. Like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And then I went into the garden, and I was like, right, let's get a workout in.
Yeah.
And I knew what to do, as in what was going to open up my hips,
Mm-hmm.
because ultimately what I wanted to feel flexible. I wanted to feel as though I was just creating a little bit more pressure down there, so that stretch and sweep would actually like come into play.
Yeah.
And it would kickstart things, and it really did, because I went to back to the hospital that night, and I didn't come home until I had a Hana.
That's actually crazy.
Yeah. So I went to the hospital that night, and I remember like going into the hospital, and they actually wanted to induce me, but as you know, I am that person. I like to do everything naturally.
Yeah. So you're probably like, no, I don't want to be induced.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be induced. I just wanted to go into it naturally, and so that workout
It did wonders.
did wonders for me.
Amazing. Do you find like that it's important for women to stay active during their pregnancy?
I think it's important to stay active throughout your whole life.
Yeah.
Personally, like if you're pregnant, amazing. There is no reason as to why you shouldn't be walking a little bit. There's no reason to be sedentary ever in your life. When you're pregnant, you're not ill.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are certain cases where it's like, okay, look, like you need to stay in bed.
Mm-hmm.
I do get that. But if you're fine and you have a healthy pregnancy going on, then yeah, totally, like move your body a little bit, because you'll release happy hormones, you'll release some good endorphins, and that will help you as well. Because the one thing during pregnancy that I found creeped up on me a lot was the mood swings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was going from being like super happy in one moment to wanting to, like, Brad took a spoon of my food one time, and I grabbed his food and I chucked it all in the bin because I was so annoyed that he took a spoon of my food. So,
oh my god. Yeah, so I can imagine, like, if you stay more active, you stay busy, you're just releasing more happy hormones, and it just helps.
Exactly.
So your actual labour, how long did that last? How was that process?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your labour story.
Okay, so that evening that I ended up going into the hospital, because they did want to induce me,
Yeah.
I went to the hospital, and I was very much set on the fact that I didn't want to be induced, and I wanted to go into natural labour. So even when I went to the hospital, after getting the workout in, I asked the lady, because they put me in a ward, I asked the lady, oh, is it possible for me to go out for a walk? So I went out for a walk. I remember doing like curb walking, and everything, and I actually wanted to, so in my birth plan, I actually wanted to have a water birth.
Okay.
So when you are getting induced, you don't have the option to have a water birth unless there is a pool in the actual hospital ward.
Okay.
But then you can give birth in the birth centre, which is away from the hospital ward, which it was in my hospital. And then there's like pools there. However, you're not able to have like epidural or any like medication, basically. So it is a completely natural birth. So I was prepared that I wanted to do that, but I was just kind of just gonna go with the flow. I got there, I went for a walk, I did everything, and my contractions started ramping up. So I remember sitting there and like breathing through the contractions and doing a lot of deep breathing into my stomach, really thinking about like releasing any pain that I was experiencing, because contractions are very painful. I also used a few different tools to help with the pain. So I used a TENS machine.
Oh yeah.
So I stuck the TENS machine on the electrodes on my back, and that's what I used at the beginning. I used a birthing ball.
Okay.
I got onto the side, onto my hands and knees, and I was doing all these different yoga positions just to try and like open up my hips and breathe through the contractions. As contractions ramped up, they actually realised that they wouldn't have to induce me, and I was so happy.
Oh,
and then they said to me that they were going to move me to the birthing centre.
Okay.
So I got moved to the birthing centre. It's the next day now, and I'd already been having contractions for the last, I would say, 24 hours.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I didn't sleep, because basically they were like coming and going every 7 minutes for like 24 hours.
So there was almost no time to sleep, and I feel
No.
like during the contractions it was probably difficult to sleep anyway.
Yeah, because I was so tired. I remember like nodding off for 2 minutes, and then I'd be like to my partner, be like, "Oh, wake up! It's painful again. Like it's really painful."
Yeah.
And then we were in the birthing centre. They actually gave us our own room, which was really nice. So it was literally like a hotel room. There was a bed and everything there, a bathroom, and my water hadn't broken. So it was more like, okay, well, are they going to take me back up there to get my water broken artificially? That's not something that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Shall I just go home and ride out all my contractions at home? Because you don't want to be in hospital as well. You want to be in a comfortable environment. So I made the decision to go home.
Okay.
As my partner was basically taking all our stuff to go put it in the car, I was in the hospital room, literally putting on my shoes, and my water just broke.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That was a sign. You're not going home. You're staying here.
Yeah, literally. It's so funny because the midwife came in and she laughed and she was like, "Yep, you're not going home. You're staying here." That's literally what she said. She was like, "You're staying here."
Yeah.
So then and then I got moved to the birthing suite because my contractions ramped up from then. I remember being in so much pain. I asked her, I said, "Can I change my mind? Can I please take the epidural now?" And she goes, "No."
It's too late.
She said it's too late. She goes,
Aww.
"But you can take something called pethidine, which is something that they inject into your leg.
Okay.
If you're under, I think 3 centimeters or 4 centimeters, don't like quote me on it, I have no idea. I was in a lot of pain. But she said, "Oh, if you're under 3 or 4 centimeters dilated," she was, "let me check." So she checked. And she was like, "Nope, you're 7 centimeters dilated, not taking that either." And I was like, "Oh my god." So obviously, I'm already 7 centimeters dilated. I need to get to 10 centimeters. And I was pushing. So whenever she would tell me, "Okay, now push," I'd push. Whenever she'd tell me to stop, I'd stop. Then I had the birthing pool there, and then there was a bed there. When it comes to describing the pain, for me, the most painful thing I have ever experienced
Really?
in my life.
That makes me really scared.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever want to go through it.
However, I don't remember it.
Everyone says that.
Yeah, so I don't know what it is. I don't remember it. And if you ask me right now, will I go through all of it again? I totally would. I don't remember it.
Everyone says that once they've given birth, it's like they forget.
Yeah.
And that's why obviously people have
People
if they
have
can, they have more
babies.
than one kid because
Exactly.
they forget the whole experience.
Exactly.
And they would go through it again.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And all I remember is being in the water. The one thing that I would say is just make sure you have a good birthing partner. I obviously took my other half, and he was so supportive. He did not leave my side. Not, I think for the entire time my contractions started, he didn't leave my side.
Yeah.
And he was giving me Lucozade, and I had ketones in like my urine. I don't know what that is, but they have to do a check when you're.
Right.
But basically, I think it's like when you're severely like dehydrated, and you haven't eaten anything. So I didn't eat anything either for like I think it'd been like 48 hours.
Oh my
I
god.
didn't eat anything.
Yeah.
Because also contractions were so painful. Couldn't stomach anything.
Yeah.
So she was telling him like, give me a biscuit, give me Lucozade, and he was like literally trying to bribe me. He was like, "Okay, you have one bite of this bourbon, and then you push, and then I'll leave you alone for 2 minutes." And I was like, "Okay, fine." I was like, "That works." Like, so
Aww.
he was like negotiating with me because I was being really stubborn.
I'm assuming that must have been a great help though.
It was so helpful.
Yeah.
So helpful. And so the thing is, Ahana's position was actually wrong. So she was not breech, but she was basically her head was facing the wrong way.
Okay.
So here's her trying to come down the birthing canal. And normally, like, the head would push through like this.
Yeah.
Her head was going into the side.
Oh, okay.
So every time I was pushing so that she comes out, she was coming in.
Yeah.
She was coming out a tiny bit, and then she was going right back up.
Oh.
So I would keep having to start again.
Start the process again.
Yeah. I think I must have done about 40 pushes.
Wow.
Which is when she came out. And that too, I was in the water, out of the water, in the water, out the water, because it's so hard to get into a comfortable position.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So when I ended up actually giving birth to her, I was in the most awkward position ever. I was lying down on the little bed that they make you. I was lying down with one leg up, and that's how I gave birth.
Oh my
Totally
god.
like not how I imagined it, but it was perfect. Like it was perfect because obviously, you know, I got to meet her at that point, and I can't explain to you like that feeling. All I remember is giving birth and being like, give me my baby.
Give me my baby. Oh my god.
And then they put her on my chest. I only had her on my chest for a couple of minutes, or not even a couple of minutes, maybe a few seconds before she was passed on to my partner because I had to get quite a few stitches. But yeah, otherwise.
It must have been such a beautiful moment.
Beautiful moment, yeah. I would totally I would do that 100 times in one day just to like meet her.
Oh my god, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of wondered, like, once you give birth and once it's finally time to go home with your baby, with your partner, and you get home, what do you do? Like, I've always wondered, like,
Yeah.
what do? You just got a new baby, you've come home with your partner, you've gone through all of that.
Yeah.
What is the next step? Like, what do you do?
I had no idea. I'll be honest, like, I was a bit like, wow, okay, but I gave birth and I was like, oh, like, okay, we get to take her home.
Yeah.
What do I do? Is there a book? Is there a course? Like, you know, do I...
We need to be taught these
We
things.
need to be taught these things. And
what was the routine for you when you got home?
So I was breastfeeding,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying my best to make her latch. So I was doing that constantly.
Okay.
So basically, the routine was sleep, nappy change, eat, basically feed. Sleep, nappy change, feed.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then over time, like, that routine changes, and you do get to know your baby a little bit more. And I feel like that personality, like, now Ahana's just got so much sass, so much personality, and like that shines through in like what she likes, what she dislikes. Like, she's very vocal about it.
Yeah.
So she will let you know, like, if you've got a toy and she's bored now, like, she will tell you. And she'll just either give you side eye or she will just scream.
She's the main character.
She is the main character. But yeah, like, when you do get home, like, after giving birth, it's very much like, okay, like, now I've got a baby and I'm someone's mum. And I shared it on one of my stories, actually. I think last night I shared on my story, there was like I don't know if you'd call it a meme, but it was like a piece of writing on some white screen on Instagram on my explore page, and it said, can you believe that you are someone's mum? Like sometimes I just
I saw that on your story.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, because I, like, even though obviously I'm a grown adult, I'm just like, how am I someone's mum?
Yeah, no, it's so true. I feel like that's probably going to take a while for you to even sink that in.
Yeah.
I think until maybe the age where, like, she'll grow up and actually call you mum, maybe that's when you'll be like, oh my god.
I think even when I'm 40, I'm going to be like, I'm a mum.
Yeah, you're going to be a cool mum.
I'm a cool mum. Yeah.
So I actually do want to talk about how you mentally felt after birth, because I know so many women do go through postpartum depression.
Yeah.
It's a massive thing, which again, unspoken about, especially in the South Asian community, because I know it's so common. For you, like, how did you mentally feel? Did you feel like you had any sort of struggles mentally?
Yeah, great question. This is something that I actually haven't opened up about yet, but I did struggle mentally. I remember the health visitor coming over and I said, I don't know how to explain it, but I just don't feel happy. And I didn't understand what it was, because everything is so perfect. You know, I've got my baby, you know, I went through a miscarriage, I've got my rainbow baby, like, why am I not happy? And that dip in hormones is so extensive, and even if you learn about it as, like, someone with PCOS, like, I've learned about it, I've read about it, but you don't realise it until you experience it yourself. And I experienced that. I didn't go through postpartum depression, but I did go through, I would call it baby blues, or just not feeling like, oh, I'm not close, like, carrying my child anymore.
Yeah.
My child can go to other people and other people can hold my baby. And there were parts of that where I felt like, oh, like, no, she's mine. Like, a little bit, like, oh, like, let me hold her. But then now Ahana is so good with everyone. And, like, you know, you could hold her, anyone could hold her, and she would just, like, be so chill and so calm. But in those first few weeks, like after you give birth, you definitely notice that dip in hormones. You notice, like, I was crying for absolutely no reason. And I think also sleep deprivation, because you're awake so much, and babies, they're not on the same time as you. So it's like, you know, she'll be up at 3 a.m, then she'll be up at 4 a.m, then she'll be up at 5 a.m, or she'll be up at 5:30 then again. Because you're lacking so much sleep, you feel so much more vulnerable. And as a business owner, and this is something that maybe not so many people relate to, but some people will. As a business owner, I have gone back to work without having that maternity leave. So that was another part where it was such a barrier, because I'd have friends on social media who would, you know, who I'd see them on maternity leave because they've had their babies, and I'd almost feel a little bit like, oh, you know what, I wish I was
could do with
self-employed.
that.
I could do with that. But at the same time, you know, it's fine, because I do truly love what I do, and having a team and having such a helpful team is so good. I think as a business owner, obviously there's other things that come into it. You know, you still got to do your monthly payroll. So yeah,
that is like literally another thing I wanted to talk about is you were so consistent after you gave birth on social media. Like, it looked like you had such a great routine going on, which is amazing. Like, it just looked like you had it together. I know sometimes it's not always what it looks, but I do want to ask, how did you kind of like get into that routine, or how did you I wouldn't say get into it, how did you form a routine after giving birth? And
I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I didn't have a routine. If you were seeing posts after I gave birth, that's because when my baby was asleep, I was working instead of napping, which wasn't always the smartest choice, because I also was tired. But yeah, I didn't have a routine, and to be honest, till this day now, my routine changes week per week, because my baby changes week per week. So last night, for example, Ahana woke up at 3:30 in the morning. I woke up, I fed her, and then at that point, at 3:30 in the morning, I found it so difficult to get back to sleep, because after feeding her, she's quite a loud baby, so in bed, like, she's like making all these noises, like trying to put herself back to sleep. And she's so good at self-soothing, she's so good at having a routine. But babies go through these different regressions, and I think right now she's in like her 4-month regression. So at 3:30 in the morning, I was like, okay, cool, well, I'm awake at this time, let me just sit and get a few bits done for content in the day, and that saves my time in the actual daytime when she's awake, so then I can play with her a little bit more. So there are like these sacrifices that I am having to make at the moment, but what I constantly remind myself is that it's okay, because I see the impact of the content, and the impact that it has, like, even if it's on one person, and you know, our clients messaging me saying, oh, I'm pregnant. Like, we've had so many pregnant clients, and it's so nice to see. We've had so many clients who are getting their periods back, who are feeling good with PCOS. Like, when I see that change happening, I'm like, do you know what, it's totally worth like, it's totally worth that hours less sleep. I don't mind, because I do, as someone who's managed their PCOS for years, I do still take care of myself, and I do still do that self-care. So when Ahana goes to bed at 7 o'clock, so she does have a strict routine, she has a little bit of a militant mummy, so I do have her in bed. 6 p.m. she has her bath time, 7 p.m. she's in bed, she's asleep. So after that time is when I go to the gym, I go for steam and sauna, I take care of myself, and then I'm able to be a present mum for her, I'm able to be present as a business owner, I'm able to be present as someone who's, you know, trying to put out content. Basically.
No, I feel like that's very informative, especially for new mums that might be struggling with the routine. When you came, like, you know, when you came home and you basically started your whole routine, did you like have a certain diet to follow? Like, is there any foods that you would recommend new mums with PCOS? Is it the same diet that they've been following before?
Yeah, I just say keep things as high protein as possible. Make sure you're getting in loads of good, like, macros, micros. Try and get in, like, you know, oats and flax seeds, especially if you're breastfeeding. And don't, after you give birth, please don't put your mind into, oh, I need to lose weight. No, you don't. You need to relax. Your body has gone through a lot. Even right now, I am not on any kind of weight loss journey.
Yeah.
I'm actually sitting in maintenance. I'm eating the foods that I want.
Yeah.
I'm exercising because it helps my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it. You don't need to put pressure on yourself to look a certain way right after you give birth. You look amazing. Your body has just done something that is absolutely miraculous. So you've got to give yourself credit for that. There is no right body type that you need to be chasing. You don't need to chase a specific routine. You've just got to go with the flow for you and your baby to feel comfortable.
Yeah, I feel like that's so beautiful, because I think so many people probably think, you know, after I give birth I need to lose all of that straight away.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's almost a bit toxic, because your body's just been through so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to just allow your body to heal, recover, eat the right foods.
100%. And also, there are so many new changes in your body. Like, after giving birth, you know, I have so many more stretch marks. I have looser skin. My body looks so different to what it looked like before.
Mm-hmm.
But it is so beautiful, because those are the changes our body goes through as a vessel to hold our child and to grow a whole new set of bones, to carry 2 hearts, to carry, I don't know, 2 sets of lungs. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And if that means that you're left with those, like, I suppose those, like, warrior scars, like, after
I think that's a nice way to put it, yeah.
There's nothing bad about that. It's actually very beautiful.
Yeah, no, it is. I think that advice is great, and thank you so much for sharing your whole story
Everything.
from the beginning to end. Before we let you guys go, well, not let you guys go because you guys have enjoyed this podcast, but before we go, I do just want to let you guys know that we are training together.
Yes.
So I have just started training again with Keisha seriously from practically the beginning of January.
Yeah.
We're midway through January. I've made pretty much all the changes that I can in that short time, and I did actually get my period on time. Super excited about that. So we are going to do another episode more in depth, you know, when I have more of an update for you guys. But I'm really excited for our journey together.
Me too, and I'm really proud that you're doing your pelvic floor stuff every day.
Yeah.
Which is good, because I think that's really going to help with your endometriosis, but also with your core strength. That's another thing that I would love to talk about in future episodes, but like something that I'm going through postpartum is postpartum prolapse. And pelvic floor work is so helpful for that. So
yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I feel like all of these tips that Keisha has given you are so helpful. I hope you guys, you know, take these tips on board, because I feel like she's giving everyone free advice, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. We will definitely be back with another catch up, and I'm going to put her Instagram in the caption, so make sure you guys give her a follow. Thank you so much for watching.